Some people show two completely different sides depending on how much someone truly matters to them. Avoidants, in particular, reveal a striking contrast. When a woman is just an option, their behaviors are inconsistent, detached, and sometimes cold. But when a woman becomes the one, the person they can't ignore, their guarded nature starts to unravel. The difference between being an option and being the chosen one lies not in words, but in the subtle changes of their actions, priorities, and willingness to face their own fears of closeness. When you're just an option to an avoidant, their presence feels like an unpredictable tide. Sometimes they crash in with energy, attention, and charm, only to withdraw without warning, leaving you stranded in silence. This inconsistency is not random, it's a reflection of their lack of true emotional investment. When someone is just an option, the avoidant doesn't feel the need to maintain steady effort, because deep down, they don't fear losing that person. Their actions show it clearly. The text that comes hours late, the calls that are missed without explanation, the plans that are often postponed or cancelled last minute. It's not that they are incapable of being consistent. It's that they don't prioritize consistency when they don't see long-term value. Their energy is scattered because they aren't fully anchored to the connection. But when you are the one, everything changes, even if subtly. An avoidant may still wrestle with their instinct to pull back, but the rhythm becomes more steady. The same person who once vanished for days without explanation now starts showing up in ways that feel deliberate. They may not flood you with constant attention, that's not in their nature. But they'll establish a reliable pattern. They'll text back, maybe not instantly, but you'll notice a respect for your time. They'll make the effort to keep promises, to follow through on plans, because they understand that inconsistency risks losing you. And losing you isn't something they're willing to gamble on. Their guarded heart knows the difference between temporary interest and genuine connection, and when they feel you are the one, their actions reveal a determination to hold on, even if holding on feels terrifying. Consistency for an avoidant isn't about smothering affection, it's about stability. It's about showing up even when their instincts scream for distance. It's the quiet shift from unpredictable waves to a more reliable current. You'll see it in the way they check in after a tough day, or the way they remember small details you shared weeks ago. You'll feel it in the way they start treating your presence as a constant rather than a convenience. Their effort won't always be perfect, but it will be intentional, and that's the true marker of when you've moved from being just an option to becoming the one who matters. When you are just an option to an avoidant, emotional availability is almost non-existent. They will keep conversations light, shallow, and safe, deliberately steering away from anything that could open the door to vulnerability. You might notice how quickly they change the subject when emotions arise, or how uncomfortable they become when intimacy tries to take shape. With you as just an option, their heart is guarded behind layers of deflection. They'll talk about surface-level things, their work, their hobbies, casual experiences, but when it comes to deeper matters like fears, dreams, or feelings, they retreat. You're kept at arm's length because they don't see the need to expose their inner world to someone they don't intend to fully let in. For them, it's a matter of risk management. Why risk emotional intimacy with someone they don't truly see as central to their life? So they ration out their availability, keeping things light and controlled, avoiding anything that could make them feel vulnerable. But when you are the one, the dynamic begins to shift. It doesn't happen suddenly, and it doesn't happen easily, but the difference is undeniable. An avoidant, when deeply invested, will begin to crack open the door of their guarded heart. They may not pour everything out at once, but you'll notice subtle signs of emotional availability. Instead of dodging conversations about feelings, they'll start testing the waters. They'll share little pieces of their inner world, an insecurity they never admit to others, a memory that shaped them, a glimpse of the fears they usually bury. It may feel small at first, but for an avoidant, those moments are monumental. They are entrusting you with fragments of themselves that they rarely reveal. When you are just an option, they don't need to risk rejection, judgment, or disappointment because their emotional walls protect them. But when you are the one, those walls begin to soften. They start letting you in, not because it's easy, but because the thought of losing you feels heavier than the fear of closeness. Emotional availability from an avoidant is never about grand declarations. It's about the gradual unveiling of truth. The guarded mask slips, their tone softens, and they allow space for connection to deepen. With you as the one, they're not just engaging in conversations. They're showing you parts of their soul they once believed no one could reach. That is the difference between being an option and being the exception. When you are just an option to an avoidant, the way they use their time says everything. You'll notice how they only reach out when it's convenient for them, often slipping you into the empty spaces of their schedule rather than making deliberate time for you. Their plans with you might feel last minute, almost like an afterthought. If something else comes up, a friend, walk, even their own solitude, you'll find yourself easily replaced. This isn't because they don't value you at all, but because they don't value you enough to rearrange their life for your presence. When you're an option, you're someone they enjoy when it's easy, not someone they prioritize when it's hard. They might even appear charming in those moments they do show up, but once they've had enough, they retreat again, leaving you with the unmistakable sense that their time with you is borrowed, not chosen. But when you are the one, everything about how they invest their time begins to shift. Avoidants are naturally protective of their space, yet when someone truly matters, that protection bends. Instead of only reaching out on their terms, they begin carving out time for you intentionally. It's no longer about convenience. It's about presence. You'll see it in the way they plan ahead, the way they check their schedule and actually adjust it to include you, the way they give up something else to spend an evening with you. Their time, once guarded and selfishly kept, becomes something they're willing to share because being with you starts to matter more than the safety of isolation. This shift is subtle but powerful. You'll notice consistency in their availability. They don't only text when they're bored, they reach out because they want to connect. They don't only see you when everything else is done, they begin structuring their day with you in mind. That's how avoidants show you're not just an option, you're becoming their priority. And for someone who cherishes independence and fears closeness, that investment of time is not casual, it's deeply meaningful. When you are the one, their time with you is no longer a filler. It becomes a choice, a deliberate act of commitment. Even if they never say the words, their actions speak louder. You're no longer the extra in their story. You're the part they refuse to cut out. When you are just an option to an avoidant, the future feels like a forbidden subject. Any attempt to talk about what lies ahead is usually met with vague responses, evasive humor, or a sudden shift in topic. They keep things anchored in the present moment, not because they're fully enjoying it, but because committing to tomorrow feels like a trap. If you bring up travel plans months in advance, the answer might be non-committal. If you hint at where the relationship is going, the silence can be deafening. It's not that they can't imagine a future. It's that they don't want to imagine one with someone they only see as temporary. When you're just an option, their words and actions keep you guessing, dangling in uncertainty because they don't feel the urgency to define anything lasting. The future remains blurry and you're left navigating in the dark. But when you are the one, the story changes. The fear of commitment doesn't suddenly vanish, but it begins to bend under the weight of what you mean to them. An avoidant, when truly invested, will find ways to let you know you are part of their longer vision, even if they express it awkwardly or cautiously. Instead of avoiding tomorrow, they begin dropping small hints that you're included in it. Maybe it's subtle at first. A casual mention of doing something together months from now, or including you in holiday plans. Slowly, the language shifts from I to we. They start imagining you in the spaces of their future, even if the words don't come out as clear promises. This shift is monumental for an avoidant. Their deepest instinct is to protect themselves from the pain of closeness and the fear of loss, But when you're the one, those instincts soften. The future is no longer a trap. It becomes something they dare to picture with you standing beside them. Their reluctance turns into effort, and their hesitation begins to look more like cautious hope. They may still struggle with full commitment, but you'll feel the difference. They're not keeping you at arm's length anymore. They're pulling you into their vision of tomorrow. When you are just an option, the future feels like an empty horizon. But when you are the one, you become the reason they risk building a tomorrow that once terrified them. That shift in perspective is the clearest sign you've moved from temporary to irreplaceable. When you are just an option to an avoidant, respect is often inconsistent. Your boundaries may be acknowledged in words, but ignored in actions. If you say you need space or clarity, they might nod along, but continue doing what benefits them most. It's not always malicious. It's simply that they don't see you as significant enough to adjust their behavior. When you're only an option, they treat your needs as negotiable, something to consider only when it doesn't interfere with their comfort. They may cancel plans at the last minute without much apology, brush off your concerns with indifference, or push against your boundaries to test how much you'll tolerate. The underlying message is clear: their convenience matters more than your respect. And because they don't view the connection as lasting, there's little incentive for them to change. But when you are the one, their entire approach transforms. Respect becomes a cornerstone of how they interact with you. Avoidants, by nature, are cautious and self-protective, but when they recognize your value, they treat your boundaries with care. They begin to listen more intently, not just to your words, but to the unspoken signals you give. They'll hesitate before crossing a line, aware that doing so could damage the trust they're trying to build. If you express discomfort, they may stumble in their response, but you'll notice genuine effort to adjust. Their respect shows in the details: keeping promises, honoring your time, and taking your feelings seriously instead of dismissing them. This shift happens because when you are the one, the risk of losing you outweighs their instinct for self-preservation. Disrespect feels too costly, so they consciously work against their patterns. They may still slip up. It's in their nature to wrestle with closeness. But the difference is in their recovery. They'll circle back to make things right, to show you that your needs matter. Respect for an avoidant isn't always loud or obvious. It's quiet, steady, and shown through effort. When you are just an option, boundaries feel like fragile suggestions. But when you are the one, boundaries become sacred. They protect them, honor them, and treat you not as someone temporary, but as someone worthy of careful consideration. That respect is the proof that you are no longer on the sidelines. You've become central to their world. When you are just an option to an avoidant, the version of themselves you see is carefully curated. They wear a mask that keeps you at a safe distance. Confident, charming, maybe even playful, but always controlled. They reveal just enough to keep the interaction flowing, never so much that you can truly see beyond the surface. Vulnerability is locked away because to them, exposing it to someone temporary feels pointless and risky. They avoid conversations that might reveal their insecurities, their fears, or the softer parts of who they are. Instead, you meet the polished exterior, the strong front they show to the world. And while it may feel real in the moment, it's only a fraction of who they truly are. When you're just an option, the depth of their inner world remains off limits, hidden behind layers of emotional armor. But when you are the one, something remarkable begins to happen. The cracks in that armor start to show, not because they've suddenly become fearless, but because keeping everything inside feels heavier than the risk of letting you in. At first, it might be small, a confession about something that bothers them, an admission of doubt, or a story from their past they don't usually share. Over time, those moments grow deeper. They begin to show you not just the confident exterior, but the flawed human side they usually hide. Vulnerability with an avoidant is never dramatic. It unfolds quietly, in moments that may seem ordinary, but carry enormous meaning. A late night admission, a stumble in their voice, or even letting you see them when they're not at their best. These are the ways they show you that you matter. Trust is the foundation here. When you're just an option, they don't trust you enough to risk the exposure of their heart. But when you're the one, they start to believe you can hold their truth without using it against them. They still fear rejection and abandonment, but their desire to connect with you outweighs the fear. Vulnerability becomes a bridge instead of a threat. The greatest sign you're not just an option is when they allow you into the spaces they swore to protect. They let you witness their doubts, their struggles, even their pain. That level of trust is not given lightly by an avoidant. It's proof you've moved from the surface of their life to the core of it. At the end of it all, the way an avoidant treats you reveals everything you need to know. When you're just an option, their actions remain scattered, their emotions guarded, and their presence uncertain. You feel the inconsistency, the lack of investment, the emptiness of being held at a distance. But when you are the one, even the most avoidant heart begins to bend. Consistency replaces chaos, vulnerability replaces the mask, and effort replaces indifference. It won't always be smooth, and it won't always be perfect, but you'll see the undeniable difference. They make room for you, they choose you, and they risk closeness for the sake of keeping you. That is how you know you've shifted from being an option to becoming the exception.